Turkaholics, and welcome back to Football a la Turca. My name is Kaan Bayazit, and I'm joined again by Burak Yilmaz and Umut Nayir. Right? No.
Whoa.
I see what you done there. Yeah, oh my god. You made us into Beşiktaş players.
Did it on purpose this time. Of course, Burak Sezgin, the man of the law, and Umut Naderi. Hey, that's confusing. It's confusing. Umut Naderi, of course, the man with the amazing hair that he shaved, I think. Or do you have a big Fellaini hairdo again these days?
I'm gonna manage it to make it longer again.
Okay, that's pics or it didn't happen, right? If you're listening to this and you found us through our new podcasting network, Big Heads Media, then thank you very much for coming and checking us out. We hope you will enjoy our program and will continue to listen and, of course, subscribe on Apple iTunes or Google Chrome, Google Play, whatever. So please leave us a review and stuff like that. But definitely, I hope you'll enjoy the episode. So for the listeners we already have, of course, we're embarking on a new adventure. We're joining the Big Heads Media Group. That means we'll be sharing a network with a lot of other big podcasts, such as, from the top of my head, the Serie A show, for example, of my friend Nima Tabalai and John Solana, Chloe Belsford, I think. So definitely go check that out. The main difference you'll notice that we'll have some cross promotion going on, some advertisements spliced into the episodes, which you may notice. I'm not sure if that will be in effect this week already. We are still in the midst of moving the podcast, but we have already signed the paperwork, so it's already official. It just, may take a couple of more days before it's all said and done and actually gone into practice. But that's we already talked about it a little bit last week, of course. But guys, you definitely had an exciting week. Burak in particular, you had your big dance off last week. How did it go?
Well, yes, the Salesforce Strictly dancing extravaganza went very well. I was dancing a tango after 4 weeks of lessons, and I'm pleased to say that I was runner-up with my dance partner, which is very, very good. But most importantly, we were also voted the People's Champions. So this was where there were about sort of 50 tables at the event, and each table had an envelope where you could donate some money because it was an event for charity. So you would donate and select your favorite dance couple from the evening after all the dances had finished, of which there were 12. And it was excellent because we went up on stage, we got our runners-up award, came back from stage, and then our names were called again. So we went back up on stage, got our awards, came back down, and it was great. I think we may have shared the link to the dance on our social media, but if not, I'll do that after the episode. So the next few days, you'll be able to go to our Facebook page or our Twitter account and see the link to my dance and leave me comments. I wore a very fetching black and red outfit, so you could say I went for the S2E14 colours there. But it was a really fun event. I would recommend ballroom dancing to anyone who wants to have a bit of fun, improve their fitness a little bit. It's great for couples, or if you're going on your own, then you will make loads of friends there as well. So I brought home 2 trophies. So from now on, you can call me Burak 2 Cups. Thank you very much.
More trophies than Fenerbahce have won in the last 5 years. Congratulations, Burak Sezgin, for that.
Someone has to do it, right?
Exactly. Umut, were you up this week? Did you do some dancing?
I couldn't, to be honest, because I was busy with my assignments. As the semester ends, all the things just scrambling up because getting harder each week. I think it will be getting easier after the semester ends, and I'll have some free time for my own.
What happened to your British accent?
I don't know.
Okay. Anyway, well, glad to be here with you guys. Of course, as you have already noticed, Jakub Marufolo and Özer Dindjer aren't here. Özer had to work with the new guy at work, so he couldn't make any time today for recording, unfortunately, and Jakub couldn't be here either. So hopefully both of them will be back next week. So for the new listeners among you, usually we have two more guys on the podcast. Guy who supports Trabzonspor, which is Jakub, and then another Galatasaray fan. I don't know why we have two of those. But yeah, I'm the Beşiktaş guy. Burak is the Fenerbahçe guy, and Umut is the Galatasaray guy. So no Trabzonspor guy this week, and no double team Galatasaray guys either. So that's for the new people, in case you may have found the podcast through Big Heads Media or any other way. So let's get into the proceedings. Let's get into what happened in Turkish football this week, because quite a bit happened. Plenty to talk about in the league, of course, but before we get to that, we're quickly going to cover the fifth round of the Turkish Cup, as most Super League teams, basically all Super League teams have now entered into the Cup. A couple of them already had entered the previous round, but let's go into the results of the first legs of the fifth round. So Fatih Karagümrük, we're going to start there. They lost at home to Göztepe 1-2. So Super League side Göztepe gets the advantage there. And in the next match, Super League side Malatyaspor gets the advantage over Keçiörengücü by a 3-1 margin at home. Alanyaspor made quick work of Adanaspor, winning 5-1, and Sivasspor on the road did the same against Erokspor, winning 2-0, so a good advantage for them. Fenerbahçe also gaining a very good advantage going into the second leg, winning 4-0 against the former Super League side Istanbulspor, who are currently in the second division in Turkey. And then we have Hekimon Trabzon, who lost 1-0 at home to Başakşehir, so advantage Başakşehir there. And then Eyüpspor lost at home to Antalyaspor 3-0, so advantage Antalyaspor there. And then Kasımpaşa won at home against Vanspor 2-1. Van, some of you may remember them. They used to be in the Super League a long time ago. Then Büyükşehir Belediye Erzurumspor beat Bursaspor 4-2 at home. This is the only match that did not involve a Super League side. Both of these teams, of course, in the second tier of Turkish football, and Erzurum here getting the advantage with 4-2, so a good result for Erzurumspor. Then we have Altay losing at home to Trabzonspor. That match ended 1-2, so advantage Trabzonspor. And then the big shocker of the Turkish Cup midweek results was Galatasaray Tuzlaspor. This match ended 0-2 in favor of Tuzlaspor. Then we have Kırklareli Spor, who actually beat Gaziantep Football Club 2-1. So Gaziantep, the only other Super League side to lose midweek in the Turkish Cup. Then we have Kayserispor edging out Manisa Football Club 3-2. So advantage again to the Super League side Kayserispor there. Altinordu losing 3-5 at home to Denizlispor. Again, Super League side getting the advantage. Then Rizespor winning 3-2 against neighbors Samsunspor. Again, Super League side with the advantage there. Beşiktaş then closed the Turkish Cup week with a 3-0 win over 24 Erzincanspor. That's the results midweek. Not much to talk about. Maybe quick thoughts on Fenerbahçe's display midweek, Burak?
Just really happy to see Ferdi get some minutes. It showed that he's growing in confidence. I think what we're doing with him is somewhat trying to protect him from the fanfare. There's a big fuss around him in the Turkish media, and a lot of the fans are clamoring and crying out for him to be starting in Super League matches. I was discussing this with a number of my other friends, and some really want to see him start, and some are saying, well, the club's come off the worst season in a long time, and it would have been harmful to play him then, and we're still toparlanıyoruz, as Turks would say, this season. So let's not thrust him into the fire, but ease him in gradually. So he had a great showing. Also good to see other players get some minutes, such as Sadık and Miha Zayt, who I'm still a big fan of. Big fan of Sadık as well. I just think he came in last season at a horrendous time. And of course, it was great to see Vedat get some minutes under his belt and try and work his way back to fitness. So a solid display. It shows we have a good squad. I know it's Istanbul sport, but you still need to go out and put away whoever's in front of you. So a solid display, good effort, and you could see the form from that game led into our game on Friday against Gençler, which we'll talk about in a second. So yeah, happy with the performance, and I think we could put together a good cup run this season, hopefully.
And how about you, Umut? Any thoughts on Galatasaray's defeat at the hands of Tuzlaspor?
Well, it shows that how our reserve team sucks, even at playing at home. Fatih Terim tried to intervene the game after having conceding these goals, subbing Belhanda and Jimmy Dumas kind of players in, but it didn't affect because Tuzlaspor already went on the defending side of the game, and there was no gap on the defense that we can just get inside from it. And I saw that how Emre Mor is ineffective, even though playing against a lower tier kind of team. Like, he doesn't take responsibility. I don't know, the man just wants to show off, and we just sucked during the whole game. We couldn't finish, and even though we had Eren Can, who is a striker, even though he's a younger guy, Terim played him during the Club Brugge game, but even though he had him on the bench in this game, he just put Reindonk on the striker side, but couldn't even score a goal. So we just played really bad during the game.
Do you see? How do you see Galatasaray's chances to rectify this in the return leg?
Yeah, I think because of this result, Fatih Terim will gonna start with a proper formation and players for the second leg to get a win from them. I think it's easier with the better team out here playing good football, because on the weekend we saw that Galatasaray played a proper game with proper players, but playing with the reserve team and the players, those are not ready, and I think some doesn't want to play, even though we don't see them playing often. Like Emre Mor, as I recall correctly, he said that the fans shouldn't be expecting me to contribute to the scoreline because I haven't taken enough time. But as you see, we seen the Ömer Bayram kind of player who has been contributing to the scoreline from the start of the season, even though he has been played in a different role and different position where he used to play. And I don't think this is an excuse to be told by a player, and it's been pretty bad for Galatasaray. And we need a player who is as I said in the previous episode, Onyekuru kind of player who is fast and who is a finisher to take the game out. Because in these times, Galatasaray lack that kind of player. We don't have a fast player on the pitch. You see Beşiktaş having Enkudu, Diaby, Fenerbahçe having Rodriguez. If you can say who's the other guy, and Moses, you can count them as well. But we don't have any kind of players similar to that.
Yeah, plus you'll lack half the team due to injuries and stuff. So, of course, yeah. You may have the opportunity, of course, to bring Henry Onyekuru back on loan, perhaps in January, as he is really not getting a lot of opportunities at Monaco right now.
Yeah, but having him coming as a loan will make us into a lot of more trouble, because right now half of our team is built on loanees like Lemina and some other players as well. And it will mean that on the summer we have to build another team by paying more amounts. So even though we're in crisis, this will mean that we're going to be bankrupt, like after several years, like how Beşiktaş did in last 3 years or so. They were building up a newer generation, going really good, and they broken a record in the Champions League groups and qualified as the first team. But after that, nothing happened.
After that, everything collapsed. So
yeah.
Yeah, true. But of course, the economical situation in Turkey plays a big part in everything, and it's all difficult to. I think transferring a player of Onyekuru's quality is not very easy right now for any Turkish team. I mean, you have to be able to pay 15 million euros or more. It's not something I think any club can do right now. Well, we have seen Galatasaray do funnier stuff, but realistically, they shouldn't be spending that type of money. But let's move on to the Super League games, because otherwise we're going to have a 3-hour episode.
Yeah.
Let's move on to Friday, and let's have Burak have his say over Fenerbahce's emphatic win against Gençlerbirliği. This match ended 5-2. The scoring started in the 8th minute, and it was Gençlerbirliği who got the scoring started against the run of play through Giovanni Siu. But Vedat Muric equalized with a very I used the word before, but an emphatic header in the 23rd minute on Mauricio Isla cross. Very nice goal to make it 1-1 after 23 minutes. Then Luis Gustavo with a screamer from outside the box in the 32nd minute made it 2-1 to Fenerbahce. And Vedat Muric with I'm just going to leave the commentary to Burak on this one, but a very good goal in the 39th minute from Muric to make it 3-1. And then it took a while. Fenerbahce took the foot off the gas pedal a little bit, but in the 74th minute, Ferdi Kadiolo made it 4-1 with another great strike from outside the box, and then Bogdan Stanko managed to pull one back for Gençlerbirliği. But in the 87th minute, finally Max Kruse got his goal and made it 5-2. He also had a goal disallowed earlier in the match already, I believe for offside. So the full-time scoreline reads 5-2 for Fenerbahce, and I think we're going to get about 2 or 3 minutes of gushing over the man Vedat Muric from Burak right now.
What can I say? I'm in love. I think one of the best target man striker we've had arguably since Pierre van Hooijdonk. So he's just beautiful to watch, isn't he? He's before I start the loving for Vedat Muric, Kruse's goal, it was handball because he handled the ball, and that's what. Yeah, correct. So, but that gave him the sniff for goal, which was good because it's good to see his confidence in improving. Must say, Gençler did come out to attack. I think since Hamza has come in, they do ship and leak a lot of goals. But since Hamza's come in, they've started to score a few more as well. So they've got some great players in Sio and Stanku who both got on the score sheet. And you have to give your hats off to Sio. He scored a fantastic goal in the 8th minute. The ball came into him. And this is after Gary Rodriguez had spurned 2 chances again. So that boy, he's doing a bit of a Papis Cisse, isn't he? He'll get 10 chances and he might score 2 or 3 of them and then miss the rest. But he does have his good points, but he is extremely frustrating to watch at times. But, still love you, Gary. But now Sio's goal was, you should definitely check this out. He got the ball, turned on a sixpence, and with that left foot of it, rifled it past Altay. I think he had Gustavo and Sadek trying to close him down, but he was just too quick. So just goes to show Gençler do have some quality up front. But we go to their defence. I mean, the first goal is you look at Vedat and he's extremely powerful. He's a tall guy. I think he's 6'3", 6'4". He's built. His wife feeds him raw meat, as we all know, to get his strength up. And it was just a good headed goal. And he kind of, I don't want to say here he missed a chance earlier. I'm not sure when it came to him, but there was opportunity that came to him where he kind of missed it, could have stuck out his leg a little bit more. I'm not sure if that's due to his lack of match fitness, but if we skip to his second goal, I mean, that is, I was discussing this with a few friends of mine as well, and that is just pure battle and resolve, and that's what coming up through the lower ranks of football and coming from pretty much nothing instills in you. Maybe it comes from his heritage as well, his Kosovan heritage. He's got that warrior, that Dardanian spirit within him. But a great goal, just to not give up the ball, chase it down, sliding, and then poke it past the keeper. And that, I think, just embodies a spirit of the man. He will fight, he'll scratch and claw, and he'll do his best. And great goal. Following another Luis Gustavo special, that's the kind of shot that he likes to do. I must say the ref did really well in the lead up to the goal as well, because I think Isla was fouled, and some of the players looked at the ref to say, hey, what's going on? But he played the advantage as we're going forward. So a good bit of refereeing there, and Gustavo with his trademark finish into the bottom left-hand corner past the goalkeeper. You would have expected maybe the goalkeeper could have done a little bit better, but, I think maybe a Muslera or Can, if they were in goal after their space at the weekend, they would have saved that. But great goal by Luis Gustavo. And then half-time, off goes Serdar Aziz. Hopefully it's nothing too serious. And in comes the wonder kid, the people that everyone is talking about, Ferdi Kadıoğlu. And you've got to say, 74th minute, he scores a great goal. I just love the way he wears his socks as well, halfway down his shin. This is very sort of Gerd Müller-esque from the 70s. But he got the ball on the edge of the area, and his first instinct was to shoot. It wasn't to look out to the wing to see if he could pass it out wide. He didn't want to pass it back. And I think that comes from the confidence that he gained from his display against Istanbulspor, where I think he played a full 90 minutes. And whatever's happened at training or at Samandra, Ferdi himself has come out and said, I need to work harder on my game and chances will be afforded to me. So it looks like something has almost changed in his mentality, whether he's understood that he is a talented young footballer, but he's also at a club like Fenerbahce, where sometimes you need to be protected a little bit from both the media and the fans, and also to have a good relationship with the manager. So a great goal nonetheless, pinged into the top left-hand corner. And like you said, Kaan just completely took our foot off the gas pedal, lost concentration, and Stanku came in with a goal for Gençler. Wasn't worried about that, to be fair. And right at the end, you had Gary Rodriguez running down the wing, and I thought, please cross it. Please square it to Max. Please square it to Max. Don't try and shoot. You've tried to shoot about 3 or 4 times this game already and completely messed it up. But, little Gary gets his head up, gives it to Max, and he gets the goal that he's been crying out for. So he now has 1 goal to match his 6 assists. And so all around, just a good attacking performance by us. Started well, went a goal down, didn't let our heads drop. I knew that Gençler were there for the taking, just because every time we attacked, we just seemed to create something. So I think Hamza really needs to work on their defence if he wants to. I don't know if they're going to be in any danger of dropping down or getting anywhere near the relegation. I know they're 13th at the moment, but they do have firepower. They can score, unlike other teams that are at the bottom at the moment who are having trouble scoring. So, but they were dispatched, I think, quite easily. It was a fun match to watch just because of the attacking football that Fener played. It was good to see Sadık have a good game. I think he's maybe regaining some of that confidence and some of that performance that he showed everyone at Malatyaspor last season when he was being touted as a potential centre-back for the national team. I don't think he's getting anywhere near that for the time being. But at least he can, start to maybe rebuild his career a little bit for us, because Serdar Aziz isn't going to be getting any younger, and he's injured, obviously, and quite regularly. So it'd be good to see. I'd like to see him and Luis Gustavo at the back, the battle of the Afros, to see who can get past who first. But good performance by the team. I think it was very important coming off the back of 2 away draws, and of course going into Sivasspor away next weekend. And that man Vedat Muriqi, I mean, I hope that Kosovo actually qualify for the Euros so he has a chance to perform on a big stage. I hope that we can keep him for at least another season, because there is a hope that we can potentially get some European football next season, which would be good for us. Hopefully Champions League, fingers crossed. But I think with this performance this season, if he can perform again the next season after this, I think we could easily get 25 million euros plus for him.
I think he'll need to perform very well in the Champions League if you want to get anywhere near 20 million.
I think we definitely will. Someone played. You see what they paid for Elif, and he hardly played.
Elif is 18, 19 years old. He's a big talent, supposedly. As you may know, I'm not a big fan, but it's a big difference. Vedat will be 26 next year, so it's kind of going to be. It's going to be coming into that prime. So yeah, for sure. But he'll need to score Champions League goals if you want to get the 20 plus type of money, like with Cenk. If it wasn't for his Champions League performance, Besiktas would have never gotten anywhere near the money they got for him. And we all see how that turned out. I think Vedat has a lot more potential to go into a league like the Premier League and actually make it as a first team striker, not just like Cenk right now, kind of lost on the bench, sometimes not even on the bench. But I think Vedat has more potential there. But I also think that because of Cenk not being a massive success, those clubs will think twice before they shelve out 25 million or something for a striker from the Turkish league. But of course, his performances in the qualifiers against England as well definitely work in his favor.
Yeah, so hopefully we can get some European football next season. And if he does play in the summer at the Euros, if Kosovo qualify, and if we do come up against some big European names and he plays well against them and scores, then I think he's definitely not going to stay more than past the next season. I'm kind of resigned to that, but let's enjoy him whilst we can.
Yeah, it all depends. I mean, if you get the Champions League money, you may be able to keep him if the big offers don't come. I don't think he would begrudge you if the right offer didn't come. That it's kind of like what would happen with Ozan Özyakup at Besiktas. I think the right offer didn't come when he was in his market value prime, so to speak, and he didn't mind staying. Obviously, Besiktas should have sold him when they could, looking back at it in hindsight. But I think it's if the right offer comes. But I think Vedat is at a great club, a big club. Would you prefer to play for, I don't know, Burnley or Fenerbahce, if you can earn the same money, for example?
Well, I'm going to say Fenerbahce, of course, and I've got a Burnley supporting friend, James, who actually went to the Başakşehir game in Europe, I think a couple of years ago, at Burnley. So
1-0, right? At a time.
Indeed, and no discredit to Burnley, but they've got a couple of big lads up front, like Ashley Barnes and Chris Wood, so they don't need Vedat. And he won't. Exactly. Sorry, James, but you can't have him.
But let's talk about a little bit about what you said about offensively Fenerbahce looking so good. I really felt like they were almost like a whirlwind going forward, and I've had that feeling a couple of times this season. Obviously against Gaziantep they had a very relentless attack in the first half. Yeah, they got 3 penalties, but I think it was mainly just the sheer overwhelming of their opponents. And I've seen them do that a couple times at home this season. But then we look in the away games, and none of that we can find back. And that's kind of what we saw of Ersun Yanal in 2013-2014 as well, where there's this really overwhelming drive forward, a lot of bodies going forward. It's very difficult to stop when you suddenly have 3-4 guys penetrating the box and the crosses coming in from the area. I think Fenerbahce do that really well when they're playing well. But of course, as we've seen in the previous 2 weeks as well, in those away games, we do Fenerbahce do lack that. I think that's their main working point. You can see that they have that potential. I also really like the fact that Gary squared it for Max Kruse. I think in general you could see that not just Gary, but also I think Vedat a couple of times, they really wanted him to get his goal. Multiple players of Fenerbahce were feeding him and trying to get him into scoring positions. It felt like they really wanted him to get off the mark. And that showcases good team spirit.
Yeah, and some older Fenerbahce fans who are listening to this may remember when Fenerbahce signed Tanju from Galatasaray, and he was having a really bad scoring drought. Hadn't scored for a long time, and I can't remember who Fenerbahce were playing, but it was Aykut who squared the ball to Tanju when he could have taken a goal on himself, just to let Tanju get that goal and get that confidence up. So a little reminiscence of that when Gary squared it, but like you said, it's it shows the team spirit that they wanted Max to get on the score sheet. So a little trip down memory lane for fans who are in their sort of late 30s like I am.
I bet I could regret it later when Alex broke his record though. Anyway, great win for Fenerbahce, of course, coming from back-to-back draws in away games, which was always going to be tough. Let's move over to Saturday then, where Malatyaspor took on Sivasspor. This match ended 1-3 in favor of the league leaders. Hakan Aslan, the captain of Sivasspor, had put them ahead in the 26th minute, and just 4 minutes later, the unavoidable Mert Hakan Yandaş got on the score sheet again, made it 2-0. Guilherme then pulled one back in the 37th minute for Malatyaspor, but in the 54th minute, Emre Kılınç seemed to kill off the game. I think up until that point, it was a really even match with Malatyaspor having a lot of opportunities, but I felt like that Emre Kılınç goal kind of took the wind out of their sails. I believe Burak is going to talk about this one too. We had this one assigned to Özer, but unfortunately he couldn't make it today.
Yes, absolutely. So Sivasspor showing everyone why they are thoroughly deserved league leaders. I mean, that threesome they have of Hakan Aslan, Mert Yandaş, and Emre Kılınç, Turkish a trio as well, showing that they are causing a lot of damage. Each one of them scored today. And by watching them play, you can just see they played some really smooth, slick football, quite quick as well. But to say that Malatya, created quite a lot of chances as well. They were unlucky, I feel, to not get another one before the Emre Kılınç goal, killed off the game, like you said. I think Gökhan Töre, again, didn't have a bad, horrendous game, but it wasn't like a super great game. You saw some flashes of his tricky wing play, but nothing that made you think he's going to be going back to a top 3 side anytime soon. Both goalkeepers as well pulled off some good saves during the game. Jahovic missed a great chance where he nearly lobbed it over the Sivas keeper coming out, but just a little bit too much. And then obviously you've got Hakan Arslan getting booked, which means he's out of the Fenerbahce game next week. I think it was a deserved booking. He went in quite hard on a Malatyaspor player, and although afterwards he had a disgraceful act you had Fatih Aksoy getting booked for poking a Malatyaspor player in the face. Maybe not even a poke. Whatever less than a poke can be, that was it. And he went down like he'd been absolutely peppered with an assault rifle. And again, that's just disgraceful. No, there's no place for that. And it was right in front of the referee as well. And I can't remember the name of the Malatyaspor player, but he should be just ashamed of himself for doing that. Now, I think Jahovic, I can't remember, did he have a goal ruled off for offside at one point as well? I think he did.
Guilherme, maybe? I mean, I just remember a waterfall of chances for Guilherme in this match.
Yeah, oh God, yeah. It was, Jahovic, he had a goal disallowed at
right
3-1.
At the end, right at the end, yeah.
Clear offside, though. Clear offside, he was at least, 3 or 4 yards in front of the last defender. Mm-hmm. But, any other team, I think, Malatyaspor could have beaten them if they'd come, just by the amount of chances they created. I think Sivas really gave them a good battle, and they showed everyone why they're good for their position at the top of the table at the moment. And like we mentioned, next week it's the big game. Fenerbahçe, they're on a Saturday afternoon in the cold of Sivas, so expect to see lots of Under Armour leggings and gloves on players. But we'll need to see how much the absence of Hakan Arslan affects Sivas, because they will still have, their star players of Mert Yandaş and Emre Kılınç, but without the captain as well. Let's see how they can perform. But as we have just alluded to, which Fenerbahçe are going to show up? Are we going to get the team that like to attack with pace and lots of numbers, or are we going to get the subdued playing away from home Fenerbahçe, where Arsenal likes to start with like 7 central midfielders who do nothing? Should be a good game, but this was a great game for neutral to watch. Lots of fast-flowing attacking football, and 4 really good finishes by all of the individual goal scorers.
Yeah, Sivas just looks so confident and fluid going forward right now. They're in a great form and a great run of form. It'll take a stick in the wheel to halt that motor, or however I should put it, as maybe next week Fenerbahçe can be that stick, or maybe Sivasspor coast to the halftime break as league leaders. We'll have to wait and see. 3 more matches to go before the end of the year, and yeah, it's close at the top right now. Let's move on to the next match. Ankara-Gücü Göztepe. This match also ending 1-3 in favor of Göztepe here. Adil Agbunar had put Göztepe 1-0 up after just a minute of play. Very good creative play from Serdar Gürler there to lead up to the goal. Then İlhan Parlak, after missing what seemed like a plethora of chances, finally got on the score sheet in the 31st minute to make it 1-1 for Ankara-Gücü. But then Serdar Gürler brace in the 47th and the 58th minute made it 1-2 and 1-3, and especially the 1-3 was an absolute beauty. But Serdar Gürler had a fantastic match. Umut, simple win for Göztepe. Ankara-Gücü looked dangerous at times, but İlhan Parlak in particular, very wasteful.
Yeah, that shows how the effect of İlhan Palut, the new coach of Göztepe, showing off right after his arrival to Göztepe. As we see, compared to the earlier times, the wingers are more effective during the build-up and the goal-scoring opportunities. Like both goals, the 3 of the goals come from both of the wingers, Serdar Gürler and Halil Akbunar, saying how dominant the wing play has become for the Göztepe side. Like they've been creating more and scoring more than ever. They used to before the İlhan Palut's arrival. And as we see, Cameron Jerome has been ineffective and missing some clear opportunities despite his quality, as we can say. And
hang on. You can't use quality and Cameron Jerome in the same sentence, so that has to be redacted. You may continue. His
substitute is Eren Derdiak, right? So we can say by a comparison between two, there's a huge gap of quality between those two. And after Beto, I think somehow injured or something went off with him, the goalkeeper. So he was subbed off, and youngster Göktuğ found a chance for his 3rd game, but unfortunately he couldn't finish it with a clean sheet again. A goal came from a massacre of scramble from Ankara-Gücü position. Sedat Ağçay went into the box, finding his chance, but İlhan Parlak somehow managed to score it out of the karambol in Turkish, we can say. Yeah, karambol. And
in Dutch, we say it too. I don't know in English.
yeah,
Scrimmage, I guess you could.
Yeah, scrimmage. So that shows how bad shaped up Ankara Gücü game is. They somehow managed to find a goal, but couldn't find another. And also, I have to mention that after the second goal, Serdar Güler scored. Göztepe's Twitter account shared a graphic making a sarcastic thing about the Bein Sports and League TV's approach to these copyright statements and deleting the content the team's uploading to the Twitter. They shared a graphic resembling a championship manager or football manager kind of thing, 2D graph of the goal, which is a kind of great thing to see.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, that's that.
Okay, let's move on to the next one. Galatasaray taking on.
Before you do that, I think David Orgel should have been sent off in this game.
For that push?
Not the push, the stamp afterwards and the intent.
I think I missed that.
Yep, he did push someone.
He did look frustrated, for sure.
Frustrated, but then when the guy on the floor, he goes for the stamp, and you can see that there's malice, intent, and aggression there. And according to the EFAB book, which govern the laws of football, and of course, being a man of the law, to me, that should have been red card for David Orgel. You should never let your frustration boil over into that. So I think that was missed, and it didn't even go to VAR.
Okay.
There we go.
Burak saw you, David. Don't do that again.
Exactly.
Let's move over to the next match. Galatasaray beats Alanyaspor 1-0 at home. The only goal of the match here coming in the 20th minute off of the penalty spot through Yunus Belhanda. 1-0 at full time for Galatasaray, a much needed win for them. They were winless in their last two games, I guess. Big win for Galatasaray. Umut, they needed this very badly, but it required a heroic Muslera performance to salvage those 3 points.
Yeah, I think all the Galatasaray fans are praying for Muslera, like şükürler olsun for his saves has been made. And for the start, Terim started the game for 4-1 with Steven Nzonzi lying behind the mid four and Adem Büyük as a sole striker, because we don't have any other strikers left, unfortunately. Even though we had seen Falcao on the bench at the start of the game, which is quite a shock for us. It's been long enough and there has been no feedbacks whatsoever from the team as his Falcao state, what happened to him, what has been going on. But I wasn't expecting to see this man on the bench that night, and it was quite a shock for me. And after all these negative feedback for Belhanda from the fans, like he has been booed too many times after he has been subbed off. All the fans expecting that Terim won't be giving it any time, but he is so stubborn. Yeah, Terim is, him, and he gave. I think he is just too much confident on Belhanda, or I don't know if he's needing him or if it's some kind of team formation thing. I don't know about that, but he just loves to play with him. And I don't know why. Even though I like Belhanda as a player, I know Özer hates him too much. Have to say it. He started Belhanda on the right flank as a change, which is a huge change for it, because I think he's just fed up with the mistakes he did on the midfield, and giving the ball away on the midfield makes it more dangerous for Galatasaray to play as a defensive part of the game. Makes it more dangerous and makes us concede more goals. And also having him playing on the right side could have helped Mariano for his duties on the both sides of the game, both offensive and defensively. So Terim wanted the ball handler to help out for the weight Mariano had to deal with during the game on the right flank. And as for Lemina, he's been brilliant for the recent weeks, and he helped out the defense as well as the man who starts out the attacks from the back, and he's been brilliant. He just dribbles out all the way from the back, starts all the attacks, builds up play, and I started to like him too much that I will be very upset as soon as his loan ends, because he reminds me of Felipe Melo. He's the aggressive guy and the guy who wants to take responsibility even though how the situations are, regardless. And also a little bit aggressive against the opponents gives some intimidation to them. And as for man of the match, Fernando Muslera made 5 crucial saves as he's saving the 3 points for Galatasaray. The hardest one, I believe, was the Bakasetas shot from the inside the box, and the favorite foot of Bakasetas shot the ball to the far post, and Muslera saved it really well. I think it was the kader anı, a moment for the match, as Muslera saved those 3 points. And after the last minutes of the game, we saw Falcao has been subbed in and at last performing, but he couldn't get any chances to score, unfortunately. I think he needs some more time to adapt, but I don't know. We don't have any time left. It's already been, end of December, and the first half of the season nearly come to an end. I don't know what are we going to do with this striker problem we have. Also, we can say Taylan Antalyalı has been given some minutes after some time. It has been needed. We have to use our alternative players. But I don't like the idea of giving Jimmy Durmaz any time again, because I don't know, he has been too ineffective all the time he has been given, all the chances he has been given. He couldn't show anything that benefit our team. I don't think there has to be any point insisting playing him anymore. Also, Galatasaray has been really lucky that opponent didn't have Papi Cisse, who's crucially in front of goal, to score those chances and got away with 3 points.
What did you think of the penalty position? Correct call on the handball, in your opinion? Was that a penalty?
Yeah, definitely penalty, because Ensakala's hand was way open,
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not a normal position of hand.
Mm-hmm. Burak, you agree? As man of law.
Yes, it was in fact pretty much the same as a few penalties that Fenerbahce have not been given this season. I talk about the Alanyaspor game and the Trabzonspor game as well. So yeah, that was a penalty. The arm is unnatural position that stops the ball from going its path, and according to the law, because I'm a man of the law, that is a penalty. I have no issue with it being given. I do have an issue with us not being given the exact same penalties earlier on in the season.
It reminded me a little bit of the Atiba position against Alanyaspor. So again, I think in consistency sense, maybe this. I think we're talking about a couple of degrees in terms of how the arm is bent, how far out it is, and stuff like that. But it just feels like sometimes. Don't get me wrong, I think this is a penalty, but it just feels like sometimes these positions get seen as ball to hand and not a penalty. This was very close range. It was definitely ball to hand.
The arm is way open, There's a reason as we talked earlier, there's a reason why the defensive players hide their arms behind the back.
Yeah, but very few players do that.
Yeah, but he has to do it. You cannot open your arm like that wide as hell and expect not to get away with no penalty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a penalty. I'm not discussing that. I just feel like there needs to be more consistency in these decisions. But it's when I'm just from the top of my head looking back at it, Atiba's arm was like next to his body. This one was like out back. It's different, but still, it's similar still. You know what I mean? So sometimes it's a penalty, sometimes it's not. I get how that can become a little bit annoying for fans watching, even though I think in both you have to look at every situation individually. Of course, I think here you cannot make the argument of, look, he's running. It is kind of like, it's a natural running movement, but his arm is way back. You can control yourself a little bit more, maybe. Anyway, clear penalty. A couple of more penalty shouts in this match. I think one for Alanyaspor 2, but that was an arm very close to the body. I didn't think that was a penalty. And it's just, like you pointed out, Muslera making some great saves in the second half. But Galatasaray also got a goal disallowed after just 5 minutes from Adem Büyük on a free kick. Correct call on the replay, but close, I think. Very close, actually. So,
some fans, I think some deluded fans wants to say it has been tampered with, But I don't think that, because all I count on is the offside calls, because all been done by a software inside the computer. So I believe those are all true,
Every week you have these things. I mean, we're gonna get to this a little bit later in the Besiktas game too, where I showed you guys the picture too, and I have to admit it looks weird, but I think it's a little far fetched to say that I can imagine people on Twitter, people on the social media going into Photoshop and messing with an image, but It's a little far-fetched for me to imagine that the guys in the VAR room are taking 3 minutes extra just so that they can enlarge foot or something. That's just a little bit too.
No, because all those software works with like 5 to 8 cameras with different angles, and all the software is based on that. All those cameras contribute to one single image, so. You can decide where the ground is, and after the perspective happens, where does the line go through, and after you can play with it in this application or software, what you call it, and it also gives you the izdüşüm, or what you call it in English. Let me see.
Anyway, it's a great throwback to John McManus's book, Welcome to Hell, where he also speaks about the conspiracy theories and they're out to get us and that kind of mentality, which all the Turkish fans seem to have.
Yeah.
But let's move over to the next match. Galatasaray with a very important win here. They really needed that to keep themselves in the race. Let's move over to Sunday, where Konyaspor somehow managed not to score a single goal against Gaziantep, and that match ending in a scoreless draw. But Konyaspor will definitely be kicking themselves after the match. Burak, how many chances does one need to score a goal?
Well, in the case of Konyaspor, I think 30. Seriously, how did they fail to score in this game? I mean, you're watching the game and you're thinking, okay, here, they're going to score soon. They're going to score soon, and it's just. I think they could have played for the entire day, and they would not have scored. It was just one of those where the ball wasn't going to go in, no matter what happened. And the most gilt-edged chance of them all fell to that poor guy Bajic. Almost ashamed that his name sounds like Balic, because of that chance he missed right at the end. I mean, they were just. I think they were unlucky not to get a penalty as well in the first half, when the ball came off the Gaziantep defender. It's a tough one because his hand is down by his side, but he just jumps towards the ball with his hand as well. So it's not as if it's hard to say because the hand is in a natural position, but he jumps towards the ball with his arm. But that's a real tough one. I think that's got to be a bit of a grey area. But let's get back to that Bajic miss, because that was just amazing, like just a comedy. I know he's been getting some abuse from Konya fans online as well, which is not nice. But he should seriously have a word with himself.
Bajic or Mia?
I think it was Bajic, the chance right at the end.
The guy has to remind that the guy played at Udinese like a year ago.
Mm-hmm. And he was really good in his first stint with Konyaspor. But he just seems like he kind of lost his mojo a little bit. But there's also this one really good opportunity, I think, in the first half of Faruk Mia, where he goes one-on-one with the goalkeeper, and I'm just looking at him, I'm like, just tap it past the goalkeeper, just go around him. Like, it's he had the perfect opening to go around the goalkeeper. He had plenty
I said, he's the kind of player the Anatolian teams like. Pacey wingers.
No, but he's shown a lot of promise. I think he's young. He's like 21 or something years old.
Yeah, he scores bangers though, doesn't he? He doesn't seem like the guy who's got a cool head in that situation where he could have gone around the keeper or dinked over him.
It was like the perfect opportunity though, because he had plenty of room in between himself.
Composure, though. You need that composure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but also I think you need to kind of read the game. Like, if you look at the space he had on his left, on the left side of the goalkeeper, on the right side of the goalkeeper, however you want to put it, on his left and the right side of the goalkeeper, he could have just tapped it, around the goalkeeper, and he had plenty of room and space and time to find the empty net there. But he decides to try his luck in one go, and I think in that sort of situation, that's something, of course, experience brings. But in that sort of situation, you always need to try and go.
Sometimes experience doesn't bring them, because how you look at Volkan Şen, you have been seeing that all the time.
Yeah, it's true, very true.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the Bajic miss again, and just the poor Konyaspor player he's done all the hard wing play that you expect. He's beaten his man. He's got to the byline. He's crossed it in. Mm-hmm. It's gone past 4 Gaziantep players. They're just all looking at Bajic and thinking, "Oh God, here we go, finally." And I don't know what he does. He's brain fart completely. Yeah. Comes off his he tries to put it in with his dick. I'm like, why? Just put your leg up and just like side foot it into the goal. I don't know what he's trying to do there. Just
stick your leg out. Maybe it hits your knee. Maybe it hits your shin. It's gonna go in either way, as long as you just give it a proper connection. But that was a terrible miss. It kind of reminded me of this miss that Hugo Almeida had for Portugal once, where it was like literally from like 20 centimeters, and he managed to blast it straight up. That was probably worse than this. Although I'm not sure.
Oh no, this was pretty bad.
This was pretty bad, yeah, for sure. Konyaspor definitely need those points too, just to have some breathing space. I don't think they're in any direct threat because of the form those bottom 3 are in. But yeah, Konyaspor, these types of matches, they should be winning these. And Gaziantep, I really liked them early on in the season, like the first 10 or so games. I really thought they were pretty decent. Or maybe first 8 or so, but they've looked really sluggish lately, uninspired, and I think the highlight really came from Sumudika's post-match tirade. I don't even know what he was on about. I mean, I could imagine I could going crazy after that, having not won that game. But what was Sumudika even going mental about? Crazy Romanian.
Well, the Konyaspor fans were shouting obscenities at his mother. I think.
And Konya fans aren't the most polite.
Exactly, they got a lot of land, but not a lot of manners, apparently. And he just need to watch the post-match press conference, because he's speaking in Portuguese. It's being translated. And then at the end of his time, he just goes into full-blown English, and he says, when you hear, such, is not nice. And I said, we could just look at the translator just saying, I've tried my best to translate the the Portuguese into Turkish, but what can I do about the fact that he just swore in English? So we implore you, we'll have to give it a retweet from our Twitter account and just listen to it, and just the translator just thinking, well, I tried. That's the look on his face. I tried, but what can I do? Sometimes.
Yeah, we're not gonna insert it in this episode because we'll get like an R rating or something. But no, you definitely go out of your way and take a look. Emmanuel Rocho, I think, tweeted the video out. Give that a retweet.
Yeah, enjoyed it as well.
Of course, I don't know what it is with those Romanian coaches. We have one of them in Belgium, Laszlo Beloni. He's been active in Belgium for quite long, and he's known to not like obscenities like this, but he's known to go off. His post-match conferences too, and pretty crazy, but a good coach. Anyway, let's move on to the next match, and Jakub is not here to gloat over the return of Sturridge and, of course, the arrival again of the King of the North, Alexander Sørloth. But both men were involved in Trabzonspor's win on the road against Antalyaspor as they edge out a 1-3 victory. Alexander Sørloth opened the scoring after just 3 minutes on an assist from Daniel Sturridge, but then Andrei Chelushka scored against his ex-team and made it 1-1. Wouldn't be the only player to score against his ex-team on this match day, by the way. Anthony Wakayeme then made it 1-2 on a corner kick in the 25th minute. He followed up really well at the far post to make it 1-2. And then Yusuf Sarı just before halftime made it 1-3. Very good goal by the young Turkish winger. And there's also something I wanted to ask Burak. There's a penalty position at 1-1 on Yusuf, where I really felt that, to me, that was a push in the back. That wasn't shoulder to shoulder. I don't know what you felt about that penalty position on Yusuf. Burak, I can't hear you. You probably muted it yourself.
Yes, I did. I thought I'd come off mute, but I wasn't, but now I am back. I was saying, I think that is one of the few positions that I actually missed, because I know Jakub was supposed to be looking at this game, and I don't think anything was mentioned about the penalty position in our group chat. So I'm just trying to find it now, just to give like the.
It ended up being an easy win for Trabzonspor, so I think that's how stuff like that kind of gets lost. But this is at 1-1. Imagine if that second goal doesn't come quick enough. I think then this becomes a talking point. And for me, it reminded me, I don't know if you remember, a couple of years ago there was this crazy game between Beşiktaş and Bursaspor, where Bursaspor equalized in the 90th minute, make it 2-2, and then right at the other end, Kerim Fry gets basically a similar position, like a push in his back, like a short, like players will argue, the defender will argue, that's a shoulder to shoulder, but in reality, it's shoulder to back. And Beşiktaş get a penalty, then Baba converts it to 3-2. And this just really reminded me of that. Like at first, when I saw it, I was like, Yusuf is just going down really easy on a normal shoulder to shoulder. But then I saw the replay, and I really thought, like, hey, look, that's not a shoulder to shoulder. You can't call that a shoulder to shoulder. It's simply not.
I'm looking at position now. It's the Antalyaspor. Which player is it that pushes him? It's a number 6, Eren, isn't it? That's
right.
Yeah, that's it. The left back. You can see him actually leaning his left forearm into Yusuf's back, and
for me, that's a penalty.
I don't know. For me, it's but like
man of the law, come on.
But like you say, it's not your typical shoulder to shoulder where you get out muscled. So it's I think Yusuf goes down very easily.
He does, but I think at the same time, Yusuf is a player that's he's a high speed type of player. He's there at high speed. It doesn't take much to bring you off balance. I think if you feel that, you go down. It's just I don't think it's up. I think if you go ahead.
That's the thing with the little players. Lack of physicality comes that they want to use that into their advantage, like how Emre Mo goes down very easily. You can see that how other small kind of players get on. they want.
Yeah, of course. Sometimes they're just looking for it, and of course here he is kind of too. But at the same time, Eren shouldn't be doing that.
I think the fact that he has gone down the way he's gone down has actually worked against him, and the ref has thought, do you know what? Maybe you've made a little bit too much of it. But I don't know if that could have gone to VAR. I think
that's the thing.
If that had gone to VAR, I think the ref should have given it. But I think because in the speed of the play, he probably thought, oh, come on, Yusuf, you've gone down really easily. That's not a penalty. But if you're looking at the position slowed down, and that's why VAR is there, to look at these positions slowed down, you could clearly see that the forearm goes into of Eren, goes into the small of the back of Yusuf and just gently helps him along. And because he's running at such pace, like we pointed out, all it takes is a little clip or a tap when you're running at such pace for you to go down. But I think his theatrics have worked against him. But in hindsight, not hindsight, but saying that it should have gone to VAR, and you have convinced me by making me watch and rewatch that. I think that should have been given as a penalty because he clearly pushes him off balance and stops him from going forward with the ball. Whether he would have made a pass or a cross, it has impeded attacking play.
Yeah, and plus, I think it's a little different when I think like last week, you have Emre Mor going one-on-one with a guy and then basically running into him and trying to, win a penalty that way. And I think I said the same thing with in the Beşiktaş game in midweek, and where you have El Neni who cut it back against Bratislava and then runs into the defender. And yeah, there's contact. You can't argue that, but you're clearly looking for the contact as the attacking player. And here I think you can't make that argument. Like, Yusuf isn't looking for the contact. He's feeling the contact. He's going down easy. Obviously, he's looking for the penalty, but he's not going out of his way to make contact with the defender. Sometimes you have that where an attacking player will look for the contact and then fans go, oh, there's contact, that should be a penalty. But no, because the attacker is actually forcing the contact. And here I don't think that's the case. For me, this is a penalty. Anyway, Umut, anything to add to this match? Another simple win, really, for Trabzonspor. They got the job done in the first half. Sorlov gets on the score sheet again. Daniel Sturridge gets another assist. Those two seem to be finding each other well on the pitch.
The first assist obviously was a great one with a 40-meter ground pass, which is a hard thing to do. And he did really well. And also, we haven't mentioned, but Uğurcan saved a lot of positions so that Trabzonspor haven't lost their lead after those chances. And Antalyaspor's new coach, Stefan Thomas, the former Fenerbahçe and Galatasaray defender, still looking for a win after these weeks in the Super League, even though he has won his game in the Cup game 3-0 for Antalyaspor, but he's just looking for a win in the league again.
Tough fixtures, of course. Beşiktaş at home and Trabzonspor at home. I mean, he had difficult home games, and you expect a new coach, maybe in the home matches, to get some points. But this Trabzonspor right now, they're playing well. Didn't even have Jose Sosa on the pitch in the starting 11, and still managed to make pretty quick work of Antalyaspor. Let's move over to the next match. Denizlispor Başakşehir, another title contender, and Başakşehir being the title contender, and Denizlispor, the up and down team we've been talking about for the last couple of weeks. This match ended 1-1. But it could have been very different. I think Başakşehir had plenty of chances to put this match away throughout the match. Edin Visca got the scoring started in the 54th minute, but only 6 minutes later, Modu Baro, somebody who we've been praising throughout the season, I think, for the Denizlispor, he got on the score sheet, made it 1-1. I really liked Edin Visca's finish. I think Baro's finish was kind of more closing your eyes and just blasting it and a little bit of luck. Then it was class, but Visca's finish, definitely go out of your way and check that out. He really puts the ball in position perfectly with his right, then finishes it gracefully with his left. Fantastic goal. but it's really Denizlispor right at the end, right at the death, who should have won it. And again, Barrow with the chance there after a fantastic rush from Estupiñán, but he hits the post. Looked easier than his actual goal.
Similar to Faruk Mia's position as well, loss of composure. So like indecisiveness.
I actually think he went for the placement. He actually went for a little bit of a.
And also, it was his weak foot, actually, left foot. And
yeah, that's true. It was left foot. I don't know if it was his weak foot. I don't know if he's left or right footed, but. Honestly, I think he did everything right. His placement was just a couple of inches off, but Denizlispor really should have stole it right at the end there. That should have been the winner right there. You can't miss those types of opportunities.
Başakşehir started with Dembaba.
No Crivelli.
Yeah, and no Crivelli. And they actually missed out Enzo Crivelli, because what he did in front of goal, instead of scoring, he created too many chances, opening some gaps for their teammates. And what Dembaba couldn't do at this game, because he's too static in front of goal. I can't say anything about, because he's too old. You can't expect him to be that kind of mobile and running around in front of goal, just like Crivelli does.
Yeah, it's literally 10 years in between them.
Yeah. But I think Başakşehir wanted that kind of player on the pitch this time. Also,
for sure, but he was suspended, yellow card suspension. So
also no Gulbrandsen as well. So Edin Visca wanted to do all the things single-handedly, but he missed too many chances, and the whole team they missed too many chances. So it cost them 2 points actually.
Yeah, definitely. 2 expensive points for Başakşehir, who had been on a very good run as of late. But these are 2 points I think they could look back at and maybe regret dropping. It's probably a match they should have won. If you look at Sivasspor, if you look at Beşiktaş, if you look at Trabzon and Fenerbahce, I think this is the type of matches you have to win. But at the end of the day, probably Okan Buruk will be happy with the point if you see that chance that Barrow misses right at the end there. So 2 points dropped by Başakşehir here in the title race. So no man overboard, of course, with the way this season has been shaping up. But 2 points are 2 points. Let's move over to the next match, Kasımpaşa Beşiktaş. This match ending 2-3 for Beşiktaş is the first time in 5 years, if I'm not mistaken, that Beşiktaş managed to win away at Kasımpaşa. It wasn't easy. In the 15th minute, Karim Hafez got sent off with a direct red card following a last man fall on Atiba Hutchinson, but plenty of controversy surrounding that red card. We will be talking about that one in a bit.
How do you think about it?
Yeah, we'll talk about it in a minute. And then in the 24th minute, Mustafa Pektemek scored the first goal, putting Kasımpaşa 1-0 up after a VAR call here. Initially, it was ruled offside, but after VAR checked it, a toe kept actually Koita, Bengali Koita, onside. It looked like Enzo Rocco's toe or clown shoe, however you want to put it. Initially, Karius saved the position, Koita's position, but then Mustafa Pektemek had the easy rebound in the net. And probably lucky for Pektemek that actually went to VAR, because he didn't get a chance to celebrate. Imagine if he would have celebrated after making, 6-7 million euros in the last 5 years playing for Beşiktaş. I think he might have gotten lynched by Beşiktaş fans. But in the 39th minute, Caner Erkin equalized off of a Gökhan Gönül cross. More luck than quality there, I think, from Caner. He just blindly volleyed it, and it somehow managed to end up in the goal. I think it went through at least one player's legs. 1-1 in the 39th minute. Then Beşiktaş scored again just a couple of minutes later through Abdoulaye Diaby on a Caner Erkin assist, but that goal was disallowed for offside. Correct call. Then Bengali Koita scored in the 55th minute to put 10-man Kasımpaşa 2-1 up. 3 minutes or so before that, Bengali Koita should have probably been ejected from the match. However, he pretty blatant hit, slap. Yeah, I don't know how he hits Gökhan in the face pretty much. Already on a yellow card. Should have probably gotten sent off. And then, as Umut said last week with Serdar Aziz, then of course that man goes on to score, and that was the case here. I think that Serdar Aziz's position, like I said last week, for me that wasn't a red, but Koita, I think he had a couple of moments where he could have gotten sent off already. Definitely there, he should have. But then Umut Nayir, as a sub, came on the pitch, scored the equalizer in the 71st minute on a Gökhan Gönül assist. And then in the 5th minute of stoppage time, Umut Nayir again makes it 2-3 off of Jermaine Lens' assist. And Beşiktaş managed to steal a victory right at the end against a tired 10-man Kasımpaşa, who played with 10 players for 80 minutes pretty much. So almost the entire match, Kasımpaşa were down to 10 men, and it cost Beşiktaş a lot of effort to get the win. But let's talk about the big moment of this match, one of the big moments of this match, the red card for Karim Hafez. First, Umut, I'm going to let you have your say. I'm sure you have your opinion.
Yeah, I think Atiba somehow saved the ball, but he just kicked it away. Like, he was going wide of him, his control. Like, he doesn't have control, even though he passed that player. So I think it's kind of blatant to give him a red, I know it's the last play, but Atiba lost the control of the ball afterwards. So they're both like, I don't
think it's so much that he puts it out wide. He just hits it too hard. It goes far.
Yeah, but so
the goalkeeper is going to get to it before Atiba would get to it. I think that's the point you're trying to make.
Yeah.
So for you, red or not?
I don't know. I'm too unsure about this position. It's really the gray area the Burak has been talking about.
Burak, man of the law, what did you think of this red card?
I think it was a red card. You can't blame Atiba for having a horrendous first touch in that situation.
Yeah, but
because you could also argue that the fact that the Kasımpaşa coming in also caused the horrendous first touch by Atiba, who usually has a good control of the ball. I was just more interested by the fact that Atiba Hutchinson then proceeded to dive into an imaginary swimming pool. He got some really good height on the jump when he jumped over.
I think he had to, though, because Hafez's leg was up high, so I think he had to do that to avoid injury, honestly.
I mean, Hafez is the last man. He takes Atiba down. Yes, Atiba launches the ball, ahead of him, but you could argue that he could have chased after it. But, he wasn't afforded that opportunity because he was taken down by Hafez. And if the ball had maybe gone off to the left or the right, quite blatantly, you could argue the case that maybe that wasn't
if it goes away from goal, basically.
Yeah, that goes off horrendously. But this is just a really bad first touch, and the ball shoots out in front of him. But he could have potentially hurdled him and then ran after it. I don't think the goalkeeper was coming out. So
the goalkeeper was quite far. I mean, he did come from deep. So, but the ball also went quite deep. Now, I watched the entire post-match marathon discussion, and Metin Tekin, of course, former Beşiktaş legend, he felt pretty strongly about this. He felt like this was not a red card. Because, in his opinion, and I share that opinion actually, Atiba isn't going to get that. And the goalkeeper is going to collect that ball before Atiba gets there. And therefore, it's not a clear-cut goal-scoring opportunity in his opinion. And I tend to agree with that. However, Güntekin Onay, the presenter of the program, also made a very good point. And he said, look, the rule does not apply to how fast a player is, how fast an attacking player is. There's no exception. Look, it doesn't matter if that's Lionel Messi there or if it's Enzo Rocco. It doesn't matter how fast that attacking player is. It's about, is it, in theory, a clear-cut goal-scoring opportunity and a last man? If the answer is yes, then it's a red card. And I think by the letter of the law, you have to give a red card here. But for me personally, I think yellow would have sufficed. But, you know, it's one of those things where I think empathy is very important in football. I think that always following the letter of the law to 100%. I think interpretation, empathy from a referee is important to a certain extent. I think in these types of circumstances, for example, where you have really big decisions that influence impact the rest of the match, I think that's important. I think, for example, when you have certain penalty positions where, let's say there's like a handball, an accidental handball, and the ball is going into a zone where there's no attacking player. So there's no chance of goal scoring. For me, my personal opinion there then is, well, why is that a penalty? There's no goal scoring opportunity being taken away. But according to the letter of the law, that would be a penalty. If you know what I mean, the situation I'm sketching. So here, yeah, I think controversy. I think people are right to be...
the thing is...
to have the feeling that's... Yeah, go ahead.
Can I say... because thing is, after Atiba hitting that ball too hard and it's getting away, that I don't think he's in chance to reach it afterwards. So but we can evaluate the position as a like an off the ball kind of foul, because because
no, I don't think that's I don't agree with that, because the ball leaves like just before he falls, and so it's not like a position where a guy is running off the.
He kicked it in order to take the foul, because his intent was to go off the ground. So he hit it away so that he's left
clearly jumping over him.
Yeah.
So I don't agree. Yeah, no, but I don't agree that he's taking the foul on purpose. I think he's trying to avoid the fall. But that doesn't even matter, actually.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, I think, like I said, letter of the law, red card is correct. But when you look, if the ref shows a little bit of empathy there, I think he should have given a yellow. But that also explains why VAR didn't intervene, by the way. VAR cannot intervene on this type of a situation because there wasn't a clear error by the referee. So it was, on paper, the right call. Let's move over to the goal from Kasim Pasha. Lots of controversy there too. You have, of course, plenty of people saying, "Well, they tampered with the image. Look at that foot. That if you see the picture, it's quite comical. It's like Rocco is wearing clown shoes. So that's the first thing. And then, of course, people are like, "Oh, there was a fall on Vida." Blah blah blah. And I looked at it back, but I'm gonna have you guys have your say first. Man of the law, Burak, what did you think? Was there a fall on Vida in the build-up to the goal?
I think there was. I think it was that man Koita again, isn't it? Our favourite.
Koita, yeah.
Our favourite. He was involved in everything.
He was really good, by the way. Bar the part that he should have gotten sent off. I thought he had a really, really good match.
Yeah, strong player. I'm looking at it again, but you see both players going for the ball, both him and Vida, and it's tough. I mean,
yeah. He steps on his foot as he comes down.
He comes in to get the ball. Like, you can argue that he does get the ball, but it's the follow through, right?
Yeah, for me, it's not a foul. By the way, I don't think you disallow a goal for that. I think that would, that's the thing. Football is a contact sport. I think there's always going to be a minimum of contact here. I think Koita clearly gets the ball first. He's clearly on the ball first. His foot isn't high. Yes, he comes down on Vida's foot. That's unfortunate, but I don't think that's worthy of disallowing a goal. That's just.
Did Koita get booked for that?
No, he didn't. No.
No, but Gustavo got sent off for something a lot less severe last week. Second yellow.
Yeah, it's a different situation, though.
I don't think it is. I think
he comes sliding in. Sliding tackles are always a little bit more risky.
Sliding in gets the ball.
Plus, like I said last week, I didn't think that was worthy of a yellow either. But I don't think that was the case here. For me, this is like two players going for the ball, one player getting to it first, and then unfortunately stepping on his foot. But I don't think he's like planting his foot extra to hurt the guy. I don't think there's malicious intent or anything like that. And the thing I think you could argue is, look, Vida stays down because he got stepped on there, and that's why in the inevitable goal when it leads up to the goal, there's one defender less. Maybe the referee should have stopped the play for an injury or something. But then I think again, look, are you gonna call off every attack because a player stays down in the middle of the pitch? Because then people are just gonna drop down and act like they're hurt all the time just to get that call, which happens already. But I think you're setting a dangerous precedent. For me, I argued it with my Beşiktaş friends too. For me, that was a clean goal. Bar the clown shoe if that was tampered with, but I don't believe so. I just think it's a weird angle or whatever, and it looks odd. But I mean, it's controversial for Beşiktaş fans here.
How we seen last week in the Trabzonspor game, how they zoomed in and give the position in a detailed manner, but this time they gave out from a distance,
Yeah, but in marathon they showed it over and over, and they zoomed in, and you can see the contact when as he comes down. But I think I don't know what you think, Umut. Did you think it was a foul on Vida?
No. I'm talking about the offside line.
Yeah, but they showed the line. So what else did they need to do? They did show a clear line.
Yeah, but you've been saying that they've been like it looked somehow weird, and how the shoe looked, how the toe looked.
I think the problem is that when these things take long, like this was a thing that took like 3 minutes or something. I think when these types of things take that long, then people's minds go crazy, and they're like, "Oh my god, they had plenty of time to Photoshop that." That's what people think. Like if you instantly put that image out, that people can't say that because you can't.
The thing is, how you been talking about the foul thing Koita did. Also, they've been talking about it as well.
Of course. I understand that, but I'm just saying. Yeah, this is not my mindset. I don't think this that people. I don't believe that they tampered with the image or anything like that.
They have to reassess the whole position from the start, from the beginning.
Yes, of course.
So.
Yeah, they have to look at the fall first. Is it a fall? Yes or no? Then they have to look at the offside. So in this situation, I think it's normal that it took a little bit longer. But we've had situations in the past where I think it takes way too long just to look at one thing. But of course we don't know what else they're looking at. Maybe they're looking at like something on the other side of the pitch where the attack started, where we aren't even thinking of, and that's why it's taking 5 minutes. We don't know. But that's why there should probably be a little bit more communication when there's a VAR check. Anyway, let's move over to then Koita's well, first he gets booked in the first half. Then afterwards, there's a counter chance where he gets called offside, I believe, and then he kicks the ball away after the play, which in theory is a yellow card, and he should have gotten sent off there. Again, that's theory. Personally, I don't feel you send off a player for that. I think that would, like I told my friends, I think that would be cheap. Especially given the fact that they're already down to 10 men. I don't think that's how Beşiktaş should be looking to win a match with a cheap red card like that. But then in the second half, the position with Gökhan went already on a yellow, and I think I think it's on purpose, honestly. The first one he took, I don't think that one's necessarily on purpose. That's just him being tall and a little bit clumsy, maybe, having his arms wave around, and he accidentally hit Vida in the face. But the rule is, if you do that, it's a yellow. We saw Burak also get a yellow card for that in this match. But then the second one on Gökhan, really, for me, that's no forgiveness. That should be a red card. And Umut, let's see what you have to say first. What did you think of Koita? Should he have gotten sent off?
Yeah. I think so, because of what he did. He's... As you said, he's a kind of clumsy and big-headed guy. Yeah.
Big head media, folks.
Yeah. Some kind of reminds me of Cagney,
Yeah, I mean,
he and Cagney should have been best friends since he was at the Kasımpaşa like a year ago or so.
Yeah, but I think it's weird because I think Koita, he's been at Kasımpaşa for like 3 years or something, and I remember his first season, he didn't score for a very long time, and he was kind of being ridiculed. But he's really grown into a fine striker, in my opinion, a very good target man. He's not a goal getter, but he's a very serviceable and very strong target man. He's the first guy this season that I've really seen give Domagoj Vida a run for his money in every physical duel, and that's not easy. Vida isn't the tallest, but he's very combative and he usually wins out. He's the first guy that really gave him a lot of trouble. Man of the law Burak Sezgin, red card for Koita.
I think he should have got the second yellow for kicking the ball away. I think the position.
Harsh.
I think the position of the Gökhan is, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. It's a bit of a coming together, and I don't think Gökhan takes a hit to the face. He goes down holding his face. You can see they come together, and Koita pushes him down from the back. I think that's less of a second yellow than the kicking the ball away, which is just a blatant, almost dissent type behaviour. Just you've got the ball, boom, kick it away. I think that should have been his second yellow and his red. I don't think the incident with Gökhan Gönül should have been a second yellow. I just think that's two players come together, and you see that all the time with nothing being given. So if there is another angle that is available, because I've only seen what's available on the beIN Sports highlights, I've not seen different camera angles of it, which could potentially change my mind. But having seen what I've seen from the highlights on beIN Sports, it looks like they've come together and he's pushed him in the back. Like Koita's pushed him in the back and Gökhan's gone to ground. I can't see any situation where Gökhan's taken like a hit to the face.
No, in Marathon you could see that I don't remember exactly how it went, but you could definitely see that he made contact with his face, and it was a little. It wasn't like an unorthodox move. Like it wasn't a clumsy movement or anything. It looked kind of deliberate there.
I also think El Neni should have got booked just before that as well for his challenge, and obviously he got booked later on in the game as well. El Neni, so he was very lucky not to get his first yellow card. I agree
with that actually. El Neni is one of those. It's one of those cards where I think the first yellow should have come earlier, and then of course you're going to talk about second yellows. But no, I agree that. But then again, I think El Neni's actual yellow was on Koita, I believe, and I think Koita kind of flopped there. So then you go into discussions of well, maybe. But anyway,
but yes, I think Koita should have been sent off.
Then there's one more position which I
don't
Hutchinson
think. And Quaresma.
Oh yeah, leading up to the goal. It was a very nice.
Some inappropriate hand movement by Atiba, I think.
They're using both of them are using their arms very.
Yeah, but Atiba's hands
lively.
are in Quaresma's face.
Nah.
Yeah.
No. Well, yeah, but Quaresma's arm is in front of his neck and stuff. So I mean, that's two players fighting for the ball. I don't think you can call it off here because both players are doing the same. That's like two players pulling each other's shirt. Are you gonna fall one guy for what the other guy is doing exactly? But Burak, go ahead and have your say on that.
That was a tussle, I think. It's.
That's the physicality of football.
You've got to allow some kind of contact. You are going to have to put your arm on someone's shoulder or across their chest at some point when you're fighting for position. We see it happen on corners all the time, and the ref may call it back and say, "Hey, cut it out," but that says a corner's being taken. And I think what happened with Atiba and Quaresma here is just two guys. They called it jostling for position in the Premiership commentary in England. They love that word, jostling. I think that's what they were. They were having a bit of a tussle, a bit of a wrestle with each other, but nothing that, to me, said, okay, that should be flagged for a, foul.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I don't think, it's like, Mr. Barbrady from South Park. Move along, nothing to see here.
Then in the 76th minute, there's Ilhan Depe actually gets a yellow card, and when I looked at it at first glance, like, oh, okay, nothing wrong there. But then in the marathon replay, they showed it close up, and you see that he's actually lifting up his elbow and smacking Gökhan in the face. I don't know what it was with Gökhan in his face in this match, but I think that's a red card. And the guys in Marathon felt the same way. And that's actually something I don't even know if it's in the highlights. And I noticed actually today that even Burak's scoring chance isn't in the highlights either. Like, the highlights seem to be very limited. But I don't know if you saw the Ilhan Depe position, if you managed to watch it up close, Burak.
I've not managed to see that. No, like I say, this wasn't a match I was watching personally. So
you were watching it.
Well, yes, but I honestly I don't remember that Ilhan Depe position. So
no, it's one of those things. I if they wouldn't have showed it in Marathon, I wouldn't even have thought about it. For me, that wasn't even a point of contention. And then I saw it back, and I think that also goes to show you that if you go in and zoom in on every single position, like they always do at Marathon after the match, then you can probably find 3 or 4 potential red cards in every match. Umut, I don't know if you managed to see this position.
No, I have no notion.
Okay. And then it's Umut Nayir who gets the winner in the 5th minute of stoppage time, and Jermaine Lens, who had been on the pitch at that point for about 20 minutes. I don't think he had done a single thing right. With a fantastic solo effort on the right, and kind of reminisced of his days at Fenerbahce, where he'd do exactly that and then just square it, and for the easy tap in for the striker. I think it was often Musa Sow in that case when he was at Fenerbahce. But yeah, great winner for Beşiktaş right at the end. But really, when you're playing 80 minutes against 10 men, you probably expect better. This was not the best performance from Beşiktaş that we've seen. But also, a difficult game, of course, for Beşiktaş. Kasımpaşa away always is
tough.
So how would you say that playing against Quaresma and Mustafa Pekdemek all those years after?
I think they were both very hungry. Pekdemek worked really hard, and even I think they said after the match on League TV, they even said when those two guys came off, Kasımpaşa lost a little bit of their combativeness. I think Quaresma had a really good game. I mean, he was at the... I don't remember exactly the build-up to the first goal if he was involved, but the second goal, he played a very big role. He had a very good through pass on Hajradinovic, who ended up crossing it in for Koita. And then actually, something I forgot to mention, a really crucial point in the match, I think the turning point, if you will, was at 2-1. Mustafa Pekdemek is sent through on goal alone, and Vida somehow managed to catch up and blocks his shot. That could have potentially been the 3-1 and probably the killing blow, almost certainly. So really, Vida, I think, saved Beşiktaş from losing there, and that was one of those crucial points in the match that turned things around, looking back at it in hindsight. And I would just like to highlight Vida's amazing form this season. Ever since that Gaziantep red card, I think he started off the season slow, like Vida tends to do. Last season was the same. Like, he wasn't really great in the first couple of matches, but he's been absolutely phenomenal the last... 10 games or so. He's been absolutely... I don't think there's a better central defender in Turkey right now. He's just fantastic at the moment. I'll fight anyone who disagrees.
And a big hand in your goals by all the ex-Fenerbahce players as well.
Oh, yeah. Last week it was Caner to Gökhan. Today it was Gökhan to Caner for the assist, and then of course Lens and again Gökhan with 2 assists, Lens with an assist, Caner with a goal. So lots of ex-Fenerbahce players. It's working out better this time around than it did in the mid-2000s when we had a bunch of your ex-players like Ali Güneş and Mustafa Doğan and Nobre, and we seem to buy we seem to have signed half your team. All the guys that had expiring contracts in the summer of 2004, we signed them up. Mehmet Yozgatlı.
Yeah, I did love him, to be fair. But yeah,
he was shied by the time we got him. So.
Exactly. We had his best years with his crazy haircut.
Okay. And then there's just one match left to talk about. That was the Monday fixture. Kayserispor, Rizespor, and Kayseri get a very important 3 points here. In the 9th minute, Artem Kravets scores the only goal of the match, finishing the match 1-0. I managed to catch the final bit of this game, and the ending was absolutely crazy with a really good save by a fantastic save by Silvio Lung on the line. Throws it out, I believe, or at least the ball ends up at the other end of the pitch, and Kayseri somehow managed to completely mess up the golden opportunity to make it 2-0. But a very good win for Kayserispor, who needed that desperately to stay alive, really. And Rizespor, we've been saying it for weeks now, up and down, up and down, up and down. They're really good at home, getting lots of points there, but away from home, they haven't won in I don't know how long, but they did make a point out of it in the post-match interview. They didn't mention how many games exactly, and I haven't done my research, so I do apologize for that. But one of the Rize players said, well, we've been looking for a win away from home for far too long now. But yeah, big win for Kayseri. I know, Burak, you probably were hoping for them to lose this one after the way they done you wrong in your match, of course.
Fuck those guys, they're still bottom.
Umut, what were your thoughts on this match?
I think Bülent Uygun wants to make some changes, and somehow he managed to bench that 15-year-old guy after some showing off
his
and
captain.
Taking the credit. Like that's all empty, things he did. He wants to be the star, Bülent Uygun, kind of egoistic, megalomaniac guy.
Showman.
Showman. He wants to be the attention, the center of the attention, So he somehow managed to bench that guy, Emre Demir, a 15-year-old right midfielder, and put a proper Ziya Alkurt on the side, and Artem Kravets afterwards playing with somehow Umut Bulut for these weeks. And Artem Kravets after also, we have to mention that Adebayor left the team, I think.
Yeah, that's correct. His last match he announced it after in the post-match interview last week.
Artem Kravets found his chance and scored a goal after finding that chance for the team, for the win, actually. On the other hand, Çaykur Rizespor's Olcan Çalyan missed too many chances during the game, and both their star players, Umar Emino and Brian Samidio, failed to find the goal during the game. Also, they didn't have I think their best player is the right back. What was the name? Always for
Moroziuk or Melniak.
They
one of the two.
Their names look the same. So Moroziuk was missing for them, and I think he missed too much for the offensive side of the game. He's a wing back who wants to go up front and somehow crosses and some through balls to the offense players.
And plus, Mustafa El Kabir has been injured for a very long time. They've missed him. And I think they really miss a striker. I think that's one of their main issues.
Yeah, also Olcan Çalyan is not a proper striker as well. Like he's like a secondary striker or
he scored this one amazing goal of the season against Beşiktaş.
Somehow he did that, and also with a great run as well.
Fantastic, great finish.
So these after these things Kayserispor gone through, they somehow find a win against Rizespor, and Ismail Kartal didn't have too much in his hands to make a change, because all the squad he has is this one, and he doesn't have a proper striker, to be honest. And he's counting on Olcan Çalyan, but he's been missing too many opportunities for Rizespor, and I think that's that.
Yeah, let's head over to the standings and let's take a look at the effect of this week's results in the Turkish Super League. So still at the top of the table, of course, following their victory are Sivasspor. They are now on 30 points. Now Beşiktaş are in second position with 27 points, and then we have two teams in third and fourth on 26 that are Trabzonspor and Istanbul Başakşehir, and then Fenerbahçe closes out the top 5 with 25 points, and then we have a 2-point drop off to Galatasaray, who are in 6th position with 23. Then we have Alanyaspor with 22 in 7th position, and Göztepe and Yeni Malatyaspor both have 20 points in 8th and 9th position respectively. Then starting on the right side of the column, we have Denizlispor with 18 points in 10th position, Rizespor in 11th position with 17, the same amount of points as Gaziantep, who are in 12th position. Gençlerbirliği then are in 13th position with 14 points, the same amount of points as Konyaspor, who are in 14th position. And then we have Kasımpaşa just dangling above the relegation zone with 12 points, the same amount of points as the first team in the relegation zone, Antalyaspor, but Kasımpaşa have a better goal differential. And then in 17th position we now have Kayserispor, who have moved up from the dead bottom spot. They have 10 points, and then, like I said, dead bottom Ankaragücü with 9 points. Let's take a quick look at the top scorers in the Turkish Super League, because there have been a couple of changes there. Still, Papi Cisse is number 1 with 9 goals, but he shares that position now with 2 other players, as Vedat Muric has now climbed up to 9. 3 other players. Adis Yahovic also has 9 goals, and of course Alexander Sørloth has 9 goals. So yeah, there's a very interesting battle for the top scorer standings there for sure. Bogdan Stanko has 8 goals, so he's just 1 behind, and then we have Enzo Crivelli with 7 goals. And then there's quite a drop-off to other players with 5 goals like Guilherme, Emre Kılınç, etc. Let's take a quick look at the fixtures for next week. On Friday, we have Alanyaspor taking on Antalyaspor, so a neighbor battle there. On Saturday, we have Rizespor hosting Kasımpaşa, Gençlerbirliği hosting Göztepe, Galatasaray hosting Ankaragücü to close out the Saturday. So that should be probably an easy win for Galatasaray. They can get back-to-back wins, hopefully for them. Then on Sunday, we have Gaziantep hosting Kayserispor, Sivasspor hosting Fenerbahçe. That will be probably the match to look out for. And Beşiktaş hosting Yeni Malatyaspor, another very interesting fixture. And then finally on Monday we have Trabzonspor hosting Denizlispor and Başakşehir hosting Konyaspor to close out match day 15. Guys, any match in particular you're looking forward to? Burak, of course, Fenerbahçe, but any other match that sparkles your interest?
I'm looking forward to the Seaside Derby, Alanyaspor versus Antalyaspor. If only that match could have been played in the summer, that would have been amazing. It's going to be a fight of who's got the best hotels and best tourists.
What about you, Umut? Except for the Galatasaray match, which game are you looking forward to the most?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to concede 7 from Paris Saint-Germain.
All right, midweek we have 7.
Yeah,
no,
not 8,
9.
That's in particular to Beşiktaş, please.
You're conceding 9.
No way.
Damn it. Okay, of
that
course.
is a privilege for Beşiktaş.
The midweek fixtures have become such a, the European fixtures have become a little bit of an afterthought, of course. But yes, Galatasaray are in actions in the Champions League in Group A, of course, against Paris Saint-Germain in Paris, and they still have a slight chance of going through to the Europa League should they.
I hope they pity us and score less, because I don't think we're gonna have a win from Paris.
I think, given the form that Muslera is in, I highly doubt that they'll be putting 7 past you. But you never know.
Cristiano Ronaldo did.
Madrid put 6 past you, so you never know. And of course, Beşiktaş are also in action. They are playing Wolverhampton on the road. Wolverhampton are already qualified. Beşiktaş will probably be playing a B team, so that's going to be interesting to see the battle of the C teams probably there. Hopefully Besiktas can get a win so that there's some coefficient points for Turkey. Then we also have Başakşehir, who will travel to Germany to take on Borussia Mönchengladbach, and they still have a chance to go through, if I'm not mistaken. And then, of course, Trabzonspor are already eliminated. They will be playing Basel in Switzerland. So, those are the European fixtures midweek for those of you who are interested. Usually we'd be a little bit more excited for those, but obviously we've had a terrible season in Europe, unfortunately, for all our clubs, except for Başakşehir, who have done okay. But that's pretty much that. So, those are the fixtures in the league and in the European competitions. We also have our returns of the Turkish Cup coming up in a couple of weeks. Those will be taking place on the 17th, 18th, and 19th of December, just before we head into the winter break. So all those return matches of the Turkish Cup first legs that we already discussed earlier today. I think that'll do it for this episode 14 of our second season of Football a.k.a. Turca. Thank you very much for listening, and if you joined us new from the Big Head Media Network, then welcome to the show, and if you're of course still with us as faithful followers, and thank you very much to Burak. Any big plans this week? Any dances planned?
No dances planned this week, but there is a lot of Christmas parties to be attending, and so someone may ask me to bust out a tango, so you never know.
Umut, how about you? Are you planning any hot dates?
Not really.
Well, might have been. You don't know. The life of the student isn't that filled with Tinder and all that kind of crap?
Maybe.
I wouldn't know as an old man. But yeah. Anyway, thank you very much for listening, people, and we'll see you again next week.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks for listening. Catch you there.